The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, this is Robert Dickson. It is 1 p.m. Eastern Time on January 2nd, 2014. Happy New Year to everyone. Brian and I are taking a short break from our 2014 planning session to do this webinar. We are very excited about sharing some cool strategies with you. So without further ado, take it away, Brian.
Okay, so number one, I want to welcome everyone, and hope you all had a happy, healthy New Year. How's my sound, everyone? If you could just type in and let me know that you can hear me. You know, we do these webinars for those of you who are fairly new to us. We thank you, Keith. Keith says he hears me fine, and welcome to 2014. Exactly. So, you know, we do these webinars really mostly to help you get started and share with you what we're doing in our business, Trackable Response. And if you could, just tell us kind of how 2013 was. Was it what you expected? Was it better, worse? If you could just type in the chat box. Remember, these are pitch-free sessions. This is always just good content, and if you're new to us while you're typing in the box, you can always go to localclientformula.com and look at the past webinars if you've missed any. So was 2013 a good year, bad year, better than you expected, worse than you expected? Certainly would love your feedback. While you're typing, we're going to get started with this week's webinar, and I want you all to consider what will December 2014 be like. So Keith is saying the year could be improved, and I'll be candid with you, Keith. We feel the same way. Our year could have been better as well. We actually exceeded our revenue, and we also exceeded our expenses. So our net, we just looked at that. Our net wasn't quite what we wanted it to be. So I want to share with you a couple ideas before we even go into this, and that is one way to make more money is to cut your expenses. The other way, of course, I mean, I don't mean this to sound like it's too simplified, but you know, too many people focus on cutting your expenses, and that's important both in your personal and your business life. But really the way to make more money is to increase your income. And so too few people focus on that. And speaking of that, you know, I'm a big fan of psycho-cybernetics and self-help and improvement. And what we all know to be true is that what we focus on is what we attract. And when you are focused on how to avoid pain, what's going to happen if I can't pay that bill, what happens? When you start thinking of negative things and the what ifs, your brain naturally, you know, goes to what it's focused on. And so, you know, the better thing to do then is instead of saying what if, to say how can I? So what needs to happen for me to make, let's say you need to make 60 grand a year. I don't know what your number is, but, you know, what do I need to do to make 5,000? Well, being on Facebook ain't going to be part of it, right? You know, hanging out in chats and forums ain't going to be part of it. You got to do something. And don't mistake busy work and the pretend things. What's going to make you money is marketing. Even crappy marketing is going to make you money. So I want to start by sort of setting the tone here. And you all know me by now. For those of you who do know me, you know that I'm a pretty straight shooter, and you know, you get what you get here. So let's talk about something. I want you to, you know, really help me here. What would you do first if I told you, and let's pretend this is real, if you can get to Kalamazoo tomorrow at noon, I'm going to hand you $1 million in cash. So all you have to do is get there by noon. Now, if you get there at 12:01, the bet's off. But if you get there at noon, you get $1 million in cash. So help me out, folks. What is the first thing you are going to do? And I want you to understand this in the spirit of what 2014 is going to be looking like for you. By the way, you know, one of the things you should do, so Keith says, but Brian, it's snowing out. Where are you, Keith? I know we're expecting like a big blizzard here on the East Coast, but it hasn't started yet. So, you know, what's the first thing you're going to do if I tell you have to get to Kalamazoo, rain, shine, doesn't matter, okay? So doesn't matter what it's like outside. I want you to go ahead and I want you to type in the box. Come on, all you silent people, type in the box here. There's nothing to be ashamed of. What's the first thing you're going to do? And I've asked this to literally tens of thousands of audiences I've spoken to around the world, and the answers are pretty common. But I want to get your thinking right. So I won't proceed till you start typing in the box here because I want to know what you would do. What is the first thing you would do? There's no right or wrong. Don't be shy. Just want to know what you would do. So Robert, what would you do?
I'd go online and search for the first plane ticket to Kalamazoo.
Okay, that would be wrong.
Okay.
I mean, it's right, and that's what people are going to say. So Keith is going to strap on his snowshoes and start walking. Robert's getting a plane ticket. Robert, here's the problem. We don't know if the reason I said that to you is we don't know if Kalamazoo has an airport.
Well, right, but I'd find the nearest airport, or I'd just get in the car and start driving. We have 23 hours. I can make it there by then.
Okay, so Robert's going to get in the car and start driving. Keith says it does have an airport. Actually, it's really funny because one of my platinum members lived in Kalamazoo. I didn't even know there was anybody in Kalamazoo. But so if I told you that if you can get to Kalamazoo tomorrow at noon, I will hand you $1 million in cash. Who else? There's more people here. Mark, Patricia, Sam, TM. Come on, help me out here. Brad, Buford. Buford and Carolyn are here. John. Okay. So Carolyn, what's the question? The question's right on the screen. Can everybody see my screen? If I told you that if you can get to Kalamazoo tomorrow at noon, now here's another challenge. Some of you are on the West Coast, some of you are on the East Coast, and some of you are in a different country. But Kalamazoo is Midwest. So if I told you to get there by noon tomorrow, and I'll hand you $1 million in cash. Brad says figure out how long it would take to get to Kalamazoo. Carolyn, okay. So come on, don't be shy. Buford, what do you think? John, what do you think? Come on, folks. What do you think? What are you going to do? Find out where it is, right? Scott still lives in Kalamazoo. Okay, so you know who it is. Good. Scott still, I would have him pick me up in his vet and split the mill with him. Yep, exactly right. And Scott is exactly the person that lived in Kalamazoo. Actually, I had 2 platinum members that lived in Kalamazoo. So here's the problem. And we're specifically in Kalamazoo. Let's just say at the airport that we now know exists. Here's what I'm trying to share with you, folks. We all get distracted. We all go jump in our car, make a plane reservation. You know, the problem with all that is we don't have a map, okay? So if you're going to get in your car and drive, how do you even know if you're headed in the right direction if you haven't gotten a map? So the first thing you need to do, the very, very first thing, and I hope all of you will do this today, you need to get yourself a roadmap. And here's what that roadmap needs to contain. What do you want to earn in 2014? Now, let's be real, okay? If you made 0 and you want to make $1 million, that's going to be a challenge. If you made 50 and you want to make $1 million, that's going to be a challenge. But if you made 50 and you can dissect it and know what was working, then it's really pretty easy to get you to 100, maybe even 150, isn't it? So let's not be pie in the sky. Let's be realistic here, okay? What will you offer or provide for that money? what price models, meaning what will your upsell be? What will your downsell be? Will you give a free trial? Will there be recurring monthly? Who, that's a big one, who will you offer it to? And when you offer, I want you to write this down. Everybody got a pen? Let me know yes in the box. Yes, yes, yes. Come on. Everybody have a pen? Because this is going to be profound. This is going to be a Brianism. Keith may have already heard this from me, actually. When you try to be everything to everyone, okay, when you try to be everything to everyone, you wind up in reality being nothing to anyone. And for those of you in the Ultimate Market Takeover course, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When you try to be everything to everyone, you wind up being nothing to anyone. So how will you offer it to them? Will you be selling it to them through direct mail? Will you be selling it to them through webinars? Will you be selling it to them through some of the tactics we go over in Instant Sales Army? Will you be selling it to them through some things we cover in Clients on Demand or Ultimate Market Takeover? How specifically are you going to do it? So is this making sense to everybody so far? Let me know. Is this making sense? Okay. So great. So Carolyn says yes, Keith says yes, and everyone else has laryngitis. Anybody else? So let's move on. So here's what I want you to do. Let's say your annual goal is 100,000. Don't be stuck on that. Make yourself, number one, a realistic goal. Well, let's chunk it down. If you have a realistic goal of 100,000, that's $8,300 per month, right? And if it's $8,300 per month, it then becomes $1,950 per week. $1,950 per week becomes $400 per day. See, so it's much easier to ask yourself the question, how do I make $400 a day, 5 days a week, versus how do I make $2,000 a week, versus how do I make $100,000 a year? See, most of us say, how do I make $100,000 a year, and go, oh shit, and then they get stuck, and that's it. You know, and then they get distracted, and then another thing comes in the, you know, your inbox, and so forth and so on. So I'm just going to take Buford as an example. Buford's, and I don't know that Buford's doing this, but I know that Buford has a mobile website business, and let's say he's charging $500 a month for a mobile website. So, you know, Buford has to now, and he wants to make $100,000. So Buford now needs to say, okay, in order for me to make $100,000, I need to sell 200 of these $500 websites. And I'm not even talking about recurring income or anything else, okay? He needs to do 200 transactions at $500 a piece. And so now you can chunk that down. So he needs to do, call it 3 a week, okay? So that's much, much more manageable. So how are you going to do it? And you see, this is the roadmap, okay? Buford says, piece of cake, good. So this is the roadmap. This is how we're getting to Kalamazoo, okay? So we know the annual goal is Kalamazoo, you get $1 million. We've broken it down into milestones and steps, and now we got to figure out if we're driving or flying or whatever the case may be, how. So let's say you're going to get, you know, 2 deals from direct mail each month. You're going to get 1 new customer from your speaking or writing efforts. You're going to get 2 a month from webinars. You're going to get 3 of them from emails or cold calls. Doesn't really matter. I want you to have 3 or 4, not 34, 3 or 4 tactics that you are using, okay? 3 or 4 tactics that you're going to use. And then what we need to do is ask ourselves some questions. See, who here saw the Monday Morning Marketing Minute? If you didn't, it's at localclientformula.com. It's called the Monday Morning Marketing Minute. I know Carolyn saw it because she commented on it, and I know Buford did. Good, Buford. Don't know if any others of you saw it, but you know, it was all about horses and sort of what you can learn from a horse. Okay, but it has application here because you can't be driving to Kalamazoo and doing other things. You're either driving or you're not. If you have to drive north, but the scenery is nicer going east, what do? You don't go east, you go north. So, think about that. If you are focused and you are driving north, if you are focused on selling mobile sites and all of a sudden something comes in your box and says, ooh, you could start making $1 million doing affiliate marketing. Well, that's wonderful, but you're driving north, so you have to ignore that. You have to delete it because it's going to make you go east in the wrong direction. How do you know, and for all of you men here, you know that we don't look at maps, okay? You know that we get off sometimes at the wrong exit and don't know necessarily where we're going, even with a GPS. So how do you know if you're headed in the right direction? How do you know, what do you do if you get off course or took the wrong exit? Do you just quit your trip and just say, screw it, I'm not going there? Of course not. There's $1 million to be had. So here's the takeaways, folks. I want you to block times for your trip. I want you to have those daily milestones and those to-dos, and this is the critical part, by the way. You want to monitor your progress and make sure you're headed in the correct direction. You want to do this at least once a month, at least. You might want to do it weekly to start, but at a minimum, you want to do it once a month. So you want to create this chart. Your goal is 100,000, 8,300 per month, 1,950 per week. So let's say you're going to be offering a website and SEO package at $997 set up and $997 a month. Can you get one lead through direct mail? And these are the three or four tactics that you're going to be using. So did you get one from direct mail, one from speaking or writing, two from webinars, emails, cold calls? At the end of each month in this planning session with yourself, you need to see what worked, what didn't work, and why. And so if I see for a couple months that I'm not getting anything from my email or cold calls, I will either tweak it or get rid of it and replace it. But I want to see where my business is coming from every month. I want to see if I'm in the right direction or if I'm off course. Please, please tell me if this is making sense to you. I don't have the benefit of seeing you all or hearing you, so I just need to know that you're here and that this makes sense to you, because this really will be the difference between success and failure. Well, it's good news. One of you do. So Buford says yes. How about the rest of you? Tell me that this makes sense. Carolyn says yes. I now understand what you meant by making the appointment with ourselves. Brian Saviano, yep. Patricia, yes. Who else? Come on, there's more of you here. Keith says makes total sense. I really want you to get off this call and make this chart. Really think it through. What is your goal? Break it down into monthly. Break it down into weekly. What are you going to offer? Who are you offering it to? And how? And the how is what you are going to be tweaking every single month to see if you are on course. Remember, the horse that wins the race is the one that has blinders on, not the one that can see everything. So I'm glad this makes sense, because this really is what you need to make this year start off correctly and, more importantly, end correctly. So what Carolyn said, making an appointment with yourself. Once a week, you should be working on your business, not in it, by scheduled appointment. If I told you that you had a client who was going to pay you $1 million for SEO work, and assuming you can do it, what's going to keep you from that appointment? We covered that in the previous webinar. Nothing, unless you, God forbid, you drop dead or you're sick. Other than that, nothing will distract you. Nothing can keep you away from that appointment. So, so that's really, you may want to listen to this a couple times after Robert has it uploaded. I hope it made sense, but really, more importantly, I hope that you do it. Our gift to you in 2014 was our 2014 resource guide that we promised all of you. If you haven't downloaded it, Robert, is it in local client formula somewhere?
It is. I just posted the link in the chat box. It's
okay, great.
It's the same link you have up there.
Okay. So it's localclientformula.com 2014. What tab is it under in local client formula?
It's not under a tab, but I can put it under a tab. Let One moment. I'll put it under the Tested Tactics tab.
Okay. So there you have it, folks. So we hope your 2014 is an extremely successful one. I would like to answer any questions you have now. And by the way, I'm going to ask all of you a favor. I'd like you, after this, and after you've really given this some thought and taken the trouble to put your roadmap together and monitor it each and every month, you should put down January, February, January through December, and monitor it each and every month. We could have put an Excel spreadsheet together, but there's no real need here to be fancy. I think you all got what we're talking about. If you could go into the local client formula Facebook page and just tell us what you took away from this webinar, I would greatly appreciate it, and so would Robert. So without further ado, anybody have any questions, just type it in the question box, and we'll stay here as long as you all have questions that we can help you with. So I'm not seeing any questions. You seeing anything? Oh, here we go. Carolyn has a question. Let's say my meeting with myself. I have no new clients, no new projects. I need to write out 0 to 1 mark out how many letters, how many webinars I sent out or did that. I'm not sure I understand this question. I sent out or did, and that's how I get started. So let me explain. If you're starting from 0, and you have no clients, and you have no marketing materials, and we're going to go back to this slide, okay? So you have to first decide how much you want to make. Let's just break this down simply. First start out, what do you want to make? Break it down. Per week, you can break it down per day, and then you need to decide 2 things. You need to decide who you are offering it to. That means a niche. That's, that's what you're going to hear from me. And you need to understand what the pricing is. Then you need to start going about implementing, not getting on Facebook, not looking at WSOs, not following 12 gurus, not getting on another webinar. You are going to be bombarded in January with webinars from people. Everybody telling you how wonderful and successful you'll be in the coming year. And the truth is, some of them are good and some of them are just full of crap. And there's no way to sometimes distinguish that. So, when I was talking about your Monday morning minute, pick a horse, okay? Decide if your horse is real or not, and ride that horse. Don't ride 2 horses. Don't ride 12 horses. You can't, okay? Ride 1 horse. Pick the right horse. So then you need to start going about creating your marketing. How do you want to get to these people, okay? Well, let's say you hate email and you hate cold calls, but you need 5 deals a month. Well, you better do more with webinars or speaking or direct mail. You better figure out how you're going to get these people. Pick 3 strategies to get these folks, and those are the 3 strategies. If you hate speaking and writing, if you hate webinars, and you hate email and cold calls, you better figure out direct mail real fast and one other way of getting to them. Maybe it's a video link you send them. Maybe it's getting Instant Sales Army and hiring others to do it. But you need 3 or 4 ways. Years ago, let me tell you why that's so important. Years ago, a lot of marketers and a lot of business owners relied on faxing. When faxes were outlawed, many of these businesses were forced to go out of business, okay? Years ago, there were boiler rooms that did cold calling. Well, there is a do not call list. That's a problem. If you're doing direct mail and, think of this as a chair. If you have a chair with 1 leg, you're going to tip over. If you have a chair with 2 legs, little bit sturdier. Best chair is the one with 4 legs, but you could probably get away with a chair with 3 legs. But a chair with 1 leg, I know me with 220 pounds, I'm going to smush it, Okay? So, Carolyn, I hope that answers your question. If you don't know and you're starting from zero, that's fine. You still have to make these decisions. What are you going to offer? Who are you going to offer it to? And how are you going to offer it then? Pick 3 or 4 ways, not one. And get to work doing it. And you're going to be terrible at it at first. That's okay. Fail forward. But you guarantee failure if you do nothing. Okay? Yes, I think it's how not to feel sucky when I write out 0 in the beginning. That's exactly right. So Buford. Not a question, but congrats on your son's lacrosse scholarship to Furman. Greenville is my hometown. Oh, that's hysterical, Buford. That's awesome. Yes, my son did get a lacrosse scholarship to Furman, and we're very excited, and we're going to be spending a lot of time in Greenville. So next time I'm down there, Buford, let's hook up. I'd love to meet you. So anybody else have any other questions? Questions, concerns, issues, anything you want to discuss? Okay, well, we're a fairly silent bunch. So I'm going to ask you a favor, and that favor is to go into the local client formula Facebook group, tell us your takeaway. I love the sharing that goes on in there, and I want to thank you all for that, because really this is all about us being here to help each other achieve the successes we're all looking for. And that is attainable if we're focused. The other thing I will tell you is I wish, I truly and sincerely wish everyone a great 2014. For many, I hope it's even better. Even if you had a great 2013, I hope 2014 will be better. And I will encourage each and every one of you to actually do this. Do it because it works. And don't just do it once. Make sure you are monitoring your progress each and every month. And so with that, I will wish you all a happy, a healthy, a prosperous, a wonderful 2014. Focus on success. Don't focus on bad things. Don't focus on, distractions. Your mind will help you achieve what you focus on. And if you're focusing on how do I do this, it'll come to you. If you focus on how to avoid this, you're going to be stuck and life's going to suck. I mean, there's no nice way to say it. So Keith says, thanks for keeping us grounded. No worries. Let me know what you would like us to cover, where you're stuck. Again, we're here to help. This is always a no-pitch zone. If you haven't downloaded our resource guide, go ahead and download it. I'll tell you up front, there are affiliate links in there. We hope to make like $1.23, but we didn't do it for affiliate links. We did it because we thought, and most of the stuff in there actually isn't affiliate links, but just in the order of full disclosure. Most of the stuff on there is no affiliate at all, but they are, and most of the tools in there are free. So they're things that we use to help us. So with that, I wish you all farewell, and thank you so much again for all of your support.